Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is Ryan with Gun Coyote, and I'm here with Mr. Pew Pew Paul. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
So, been a
Huh.
been a interesting, like 36, 48 hours since we did the last stream. Uh, we sat through 3.5 hours of white dudes for Kamala or Kamala or however she wants to say her name today, and
Yeah.
that was I just couldn't do it yesterday. I had to take a break. I had to take a mental break from the internet.
Yeah.
But we got a lot
Yeah.
of things going on today. So we got first thing is we got this video from James O'Keefe. We've got some new footage from the Trump assassination.
All right.
We have Glock being sued yet again.
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 Same thing, right? For
Same thing, different place.
not modify it.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yep. And we've got Israel allegedly taking out a Hamas leader in Tehran, and now the Iranians have pledged to directly attack Israel in response. And last
They're
but
gonna get
not
what?
least, we have chaos in Caracas.
Go on.
As
What's
what it
going on
looks
in
like,
Caracas?
it looks like Maduro is going to beat Dunsky after his
Oh, I seen a
so-called
bit of
election.
this. Yeah. And they took the guns from the civilians just a little bit before, and then they started firing on civilians, right?
Oh yeah, that's what they did last time too. That they had a open revolt in Venezuela. Was they let
Mm.
them demonstrate at first, and then they started opening fire on them. But last time they didn't. The people just didn't have the follow through to finish it. This time though, it looks like they're going to have the follow through. I mean, they're tearing down statues of Hugo Chavez. They're tearing down statues of Maduro. Elon Musk has challenged Maduro to a fight. Well,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, well, Maduro, I guess, challenged him to a fight, and Elon accepted said challenge. It said he would fight
Goaded.
Maduro.
Nice.
So,
Fuck yes.
Elon being the based goat that he is yet again.
I'd love to see Elon fight up on the stage. How old is Elon now? He's
I
in
don't
his
know.
50s, right?
I'm not sure. I really don't know.
I don't think it would ever happen. They wouldn't let it happen. He's got too much in his brain for the Neuralink and everything. They need him. They need him
Yeah,
to
they,
complete the plan. You know. What I
yeah,
mean?
man, they can't be risking blowing this dude's brain up because he knows too much. Got to keep him
Right.
around.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where it's got with Elon. But yeah, thank God he done X, and thank God we can talk about stuff here. Want to see this thing with James O'Keefe
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get into it?
Yeah. Let's hit without further ado.
Optimal Human is hands down the best
And we'll have
concentrated
a ad from
green
Mr.
drink
Alex
out
Jones
there on
there.
the market. You go to
You asked about the assassination. My thoughts are as follows. I think there's going to be a series of black swan events between now and the election. The day before that happened, someone said, "What do you think?" Everyone's always trying to predict the future. I said, "Listen, all bets are off. Something crazy is going to happen. We don't know what it is." So I think what's going to happen is more crazy things, black swan events. At least two of them will happen before election day that will throw everything into a state of flux.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Visit Infowars.com/show and share the link today.
I want you to go back into black swans because I totally agree with you. The globalists are in full panic mode. They failed to kill Trump. I think the evidence is overwhelming. There's a stand down. I don't know if you guys are doing any investigations into that. If so, let us know. As soon as you're about to break it, we want to push it hard. But in the few minutes we have left, go back in and flesh that out because I really respect your analysis and your sources. You're saying multiple black swan events in the next 90-something days. Give us some of your ideas and what they may be planning.
Thank you, Alex. And I appreciate your audience because we have a lot of sources that come to us at OMG, and we've had Secret Service agents come to us, Border Patrol agents, FBI agents, and all these people are kind of on the precipice of blowing the whistle, and they're rightfully afraid because they're going to give up their livelihood, their pension, if they say the thing that they know, but they don't want to say. So Black Swan event just means I forgot the name of the book that was originally quoted as talking about that. But in politics, everyone wants to predict the future. And my point is that all bets are off. The day before Trump was assassinated, I was having dinner with a guy in LA, and he asked me what I think is going to happen. I said, there's going to be a Black Swan event. It's going to throw the whole thing into a state of flux. And literally in the next week or two, Trump was shot and Biden dropped off. So I think you're going to have two more things like that happen between now and November. And I don't know what they are. It could be some war. It could be a famine. It could be someone gets killed. But you're going to see that happen, and that's going to throw everything into a state of flux. Therefore, all bets are off. And the second part of that is whistleblowers. I am telling you, there is an explosion of people right now on the inside. And I know that because they message me and they trust me, but I have to figure out a way to give them life after whistleblowing. And I'm working on right now, whether that's some type of lump payment. There's an employee network of people that hire them. We've got to figure out a way to protect and nurture the people who are Secret Service agents, FBI agents,
A safety
CIA
net.
agents. Yeah. We got to figure that out, because I'm telling you, there's something happening on the inside of these institutions. People have a conscience. They want to do the right thing, but they're going to get their lives destroyed for saying the truth. So that's what I'm currently working on.
Well, I would tell them this. Look at the political climate. Keeping your head down, covering your asses. We're going to lose civilization. We're going to have nuclear war. We're going to have a totally collapsed country. So it's gotten so dangerous now. They've got to do what I've done, what you've done. I've been on your show before, and you talk about the fact that we put our lives on the line here. We're totally committed, and that's the attitude people have to have. And if society just gets that attitude again, then we can turn this around.
Yeah, and I was in Capitol Hill yesterday meeting with various lawmakers to figure out what the congressional protections are. The challenge is there aren't a lot of legislative protections. It's really more media. So, OMG O'Keefe Media, we do the swiper thing. You can go out and get paid to do stories. And I have Citizen Journalism Foundation, which is now tax deductible, by the way. Thank God the IRS gave me that. And we're going to start giving grants out to whistleblowers if they blow the whistle. If you're watching this program, and I know that you have a great audience, some really good, faithful people, God-fearing people, and you work for one of these institutions, you can message us, and we will talk to you. We have a whole room of people right now responding to people, particularly Act Blue. Alex, is another thing.
Yeah, give us 60 seconds. People follow that, but people that don't know about Act Blue, you've caught them red-handed. Looks like laundering money.
FEC money, FEC data shows that people who can't afford to are giving hundreds of thousands of dollars, thousands of times. So it appears to be a money laundering scheme. We believe the money is coming from Europe or Asia, and through Stripe, and we're trying to get to the bottom of this. And we have an explosion of people, including at least one insider inside Act Blue. We have a mole inside Act Blue that told me where their conference is, the names of their employees. So I'm just saying that it's 10 to 100 times what it was a year or two ago. These explosion of people on the inside, we got to nurture that. That's the future. It's going to require sacrifice. I get we're a world of people pursuing their own self-interest, but we got to find people who are willing to make sacrifices and be heroic and show people what's going on. That's probably the biggest story of the election right there, money laundering through Act Blue. We will get to the bottom of it.
So there's the InfoWars MD line that I don't talk about enough that is all the highest quality, whether it's turmeric or whether it's natural sleep aid or whether it's saw palmetto with other compounds that are great for your prostate,
Alex
also great for
doesn't
women's
like his
breast. It affects the same type of tissues
CBD
that have those hormonal fluctuations. I'm not a doctor, but I read the literature. You need to go to InfoWarsStore.com and go to the sections that have the whole line of a dozen products.
With all due respect, it has
InfoWars
been life-changing for me taking the right supplements. Not a plug.
Right.
Not a plug at all, but it's useful. They do have some good stuff. So yeah, I think that's what it's all about. There is people coming forward and having that safe area to do so. To be able to speak without being prosecuted for it, without being persecuted, being able to speak the truth. The truth must be spoken, and the truth will out. People worked inside. We've seen the documentaries leading up into it. Stop the Steal. We've seen them literally stealing the election. Paying for votes, a complete corruption, and then there's what's going on at the
Speaking
border.
of paying for votes, you could pretty much say that's what Kamala's most recent event in Atlanta was, by getting people to show up for a really atrocious Megan Thee Stallion concert before she went on stage.
Right. Well, I think anything that Megan the Stallion involved in is going to be pretty atrocious. But
Pretty
I mean,
cringe.
what is it? It's a glorified kind of strip show with a little bit of singing, and that's it, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, if you're
I called
into
it
it,
twerking for Kamala.
twerking for Kamala, right? So I just saw on the stream that NY officials announced closure of over 1,000 illegal cannabis shops. So they're not just locking down on the guns, they're locking down on the ganja as well. Okay, sorry to jump around there a little bit,
Oh
but
no. That's not
it's
a
a
surprise. I mean, we have the whole marijuana thing's like real gray area and shit anyway. Even though I think it should be pretty black and white on that. Like in
absolutely.
Virginia, for example, we have these places called Zerati shops, or they call themselves smoke shops, and they black out all the windows. Can't go in there unless you're 21 or over. And the thing is, you in Virginia anyway, you cannot sell commercially. You cannot sell marijuana. But
Right.
there's little loopholes in the law that they use to get around that. And one of the local places here got busted about, I don't know, 6 months ago. They came in, they took a whole bunch of drugs out of there, and something like $300,000 in cash, and it never even missed. They didn't get it back, and they never even missed a beat on their operation, and they're still doing that today. Which I don't care. If they want to sell some weed, go for it. Not a big deal. But
Right.
let's just either
Doesn't hurt
make a
anyone.
defining line of how it's legal to sell it or how it's not, because you have other places that are trying to that have been in business for a really long time, and they're trying to respect the law, and
Yeah.
they want to be able to make money off of this too and sell this product. And then you have these shady ass businesses that are coming in, and they're using all these loopholes in the law. They pay a lot of money for high priced lawyers and stuff, but they're also making a metric fuck ton of money from it. And they're allowed to do this, but say you go into your local tobacco store, you're not going to be able to buy any weed in there.
Should be able to buy weed anywhere, I think. That's just my opinion. No one should lose their gun for it either. I don't think it's an
No.
issue.
No.
But that's just my opinion. I guess the money will be siphoned back into the Democrats or somewhere, or
sure.
the illegal through an illegal route, like he was mentioning there. And we'll just wait and see what James O'Keefe brings out next. But hopefully, if we spread the word, talk about it wherever you can, that there is a mole inside, it will turn up the heat. Just generally bringing light to it, putting air on it, moving it around, making people know and aware that it's starting to crumble apart inside of the Democrats, inside of the deep state. There are moles inside. They're not going to be able to stop do the steal. We will be able to stop the steal if I can get my words out correctly, as long as we manage to talk about it and bring it to light. Because otherwise, it's just going to happen in, these 1 a.m. ballot drops, these mail-in ballot drops, all of this bullshit that they done last time. They'll do it again. And there's people out there that knew what happened. And yeah, they're silent because either they're compromised or, they feel that they can't talk about it because they'll lose their livelihood. So thank God James O'Keefe is doing this. And hopefully very soon we will hear new news on that. And that kind of leads into what you have there with the new body cam footage, right?
Yeah. Speaking of James O'Keefe, I kind of got off on a little sidetrack. I think that
it's a cannabis thing.
yeah, I think that James O'Keefe is right. There will be multiple Black Swan events. There will be at least one more attempt on Donald Trump's life, and it might not even be a planned one. You know what I mean? But we're not saying that the one that happened recently was planned, but there are many allegations that there's a lot of fishy business going on there, and they will do whatever they can to try and stop Donald Trump from getting the office back.
For sure. But not. Yeah.
Just a second, bro. If you'll just kind of entertain everybody for a second, my kid is being difficult. She's supposed to be in bed. I will be right back.
I'll do my best. It's probably going to be quite awkward, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I don't have control of the stream. So, yeah, thank you for hanging out with me. We're looking into this thing with what's going on with, you know, James O'Keefe's recent admissions that there will be a Black Swan event. There'll be another take on the president's life. And essentially, the Secret Service not doing their job. From reports that we've heard, they're not stepping up security. It's still extremely lax. And the Don's still out there, still talking to everyone. And, you know, even the next day, I was hearing reports that the RNC, there was someone they found, I think, in the parking lot, don't quote me, that had an AK that was going to try and shoot up the event as well, a young man. Now, why these things are happening is that I believe people are just sick in the mind. They have the TDS, the Trump derangement syndrome. They don't understand really why they do it. They just do it because they think that they're ridding the world of evil, that he's in some way evil. But while we have an open border and we have this complete sham of an economy where, you know, gas prices are through the roof, it's never going to work, is it? You know, if you're just letting people in through the border and it's completely insecure in that way, it's not part of the American dream, because it means that people are going to come into your town, they're going to take your jobs. Now, you hear by my accent, I'm not naturally born American. And
No
the
way.
reason that I need... No way, yeah, bro. I mean, you'd be a surprise. It's all an act, right? I'm putting on the British accent. But, you know,
You're
for
more
me to
sophisticated
come
that
to
way.
America... Even with the alliance, you know, there's paperwork you have to do. There's a correct way to do things. You don't just rock up on the shore and say, let me in. That's the American dream. It's not cool to do that. You can't do that. Now, of course, America will do that because it's such a great place. It takes in many refugees over the years. There's been massive swaths of people when it's called for, when it's needed for, when people are genuinely running from something like a war and asylum is needed. And that's all over the world. But this notion that that is a liberal way to think, this notion that that's freedom to have a border in the South, which is essentially being ripped apart by its own party, which is essentially being made a joke of, a mockery of, it's pointless to continue paying taxes and to support that thing unless we're going to have a clear definition on what's going on with the border. So it's very difficult if you're going to have, you know, you're going to expend money on trying to police it, and then at the same time you got the leadership giving a completely different message that, you know, we're going to let everyone in. We're going to have an open border, and I believe America could not survive with an open border. It just wouldn't work. There needs to be strict immigration, is to protect everyone, and yeah, everyone knows it. I think that's well known. I think I'm preaching to the choir, hopefully, and I don't really see the argument for an open border. I don't see why that would be beneficial. I also don't see an open reason for a reliance on globalization. I think there should be much more done domestically, and to protect domestic entrepreneurs, domestic business owners, and try and build it so that there's more small and medium enterprises. So there's more mom and pop shops. There's more small level business which can service one another and essentially build a lower level of the economy where it's not owned by massive corporations. A parallel economy, which isn't owned by massive tech overlords, you know, which is just owned by small organizations which can govern themselves within their state and they can help their local area. It's way better, right, than shipping things all around the world and having faceless corporations and everything being app-based, and then they can change the system, change the games, rug pull whenever they want. I think it's much better to have things the old way they were, and small mom and pop shops and small businesses,
We do have to
smaller
be careful
teams.
about technology, like you said, because we are on the slippery slope to becoming a technocracy.
A technocracy which doesn't have a fiat currency, which is being moved into, you know, I'm all for owning gold. I've always been into gold. I'm not plugging gold here, but what I'm about to say is the threat of moving everything and abstracting yourself from your wealth, so it's all contained within whatever system it may be, an electronic based system though. If that is hit with EMP, if we go to wartime situation, you're cut off straight away from your cash.
Yeah.
You must always remember that. Think
Because there's
about
going to
that.
be
that
internet problems. That means
it will
that
go down.
mining centers are going to go down in mass. That means that blocks start getting processed much slower, or blocks can't be processed at all. Need to be very careful about digital currency, and that's why, as much as a fan of crypto as I am,
Yeah.
when the rubber meets the road, that technology becomes a serious liability, especially compared to physical assets.
Right, and lead and brass at the end of the day will probably
That's
be the
that's
currency.
the best you can make.
If there's a fall down of the society, meaning that the grid's gone down and there's only small, it's segregated out. There's blackouts, shall we say, and moving around is extremely difficult. Then really you're going to be most probably just needing to arm yourself, defend yourself, and have a way to interact with an economy. I'd imagine most people will be trading things for ammo, gold, silver, of course. But having access at that time to the internet is probably going to be extremely unlikely. So you really don't want your things to be abstracted from you. You don't want it to be out of reach. And that's my main concern with crypto. As much as I love it, as much as I love the bull run, I loved everything about crypto, when it's coming up, and hated everything about it when it's going down. And I hope everyone out there made their money with it and didn't lose their money with it. I hope it's been a real big winner for people. But at the end of the day, it would be good to also make sure you have your ranch, you have your area, you have your land, and you can provide for yourself. Obviously, you have water there. Obviously, you have food and supplies there. But it's looking at long term. How would you cope? How would you survive with the grid going down, with not having those supply lines? Have you got the knowledge on hand to create your own fuels? Create your own cooking gases, biodigesters, building these things. It's being prepped in those kind of ways, because you can live quite happily. You could have your own cooking gas. You could probably run a turbine, wind turbine, so you have some form of power. Now you're much more resilient with your rifle loaded as well. Yeah, things are looking much better, right? And if you've got some livestock you can look after, you've got some meat, and you've got a way of keeping that cool. I know you, Ryan, you know some ways of keeping the vegetables cool, putting in the ground fridges and that kind of thing. And what was it? It was packing it, right? You were telling me about that, is keeping the vegetables.
Yeah, you can make a little wooden box with sand in it, and you can put vegetables and stuff in that to keep it in a cool area, and it'll last for a long time. And speaking of lead and brass, our giveaway is active and live. And if you guys want to know what our awesome giveaway is, all you have to do is head over to our X profile, and you can get the details on that, as well as how to enter in this awesome giveaway. So,
there's 1,000 rounds of 9mm. I want it, but I can't enter.
Yeah.
Friends and family of us can't enter, unlike Mr. Beast. So we can't enter.
But
we'll keep reposting it. So what you got to do is just go on to the post on our profile. You'll see there's a pinned post. You just need to repost that. And then also the post, just put your email in there and email to us, or send a screenshot of you doing it to confirm your entry. You're going to need to be over 21 years old, Americans only, unfortunately. We can't ship ammo internationally. It's Americans only. So
Yep, Americans only.
That's the only...
Freedom
the terms and conditions are on there. Yeah, and no purchase necessary. You don't need to buy anything from us or anything. It is literally just a prize draw. You don't need to buy anything. It's just tagging and sharing the post to try and get our channel to grow, to try and get things to grow, so we can, do more of this. So, should we take a look at the next clip, man? The clip of it's the body cam, right? You have a new body cam.
We have a new video from the Trump assassination, and what we have going on here is this was taken from, I presume, one of the attendees that was sitting behind Trump, which would have been a significantly lower position than what the counter sniper teams were at, as well as other observers, I'm sure. And you'll see on here, Mr. Guns and Gears shared this. He said, this video was taken from a less elevated position than the counter sniper teams were all at. Initially, I assumed the killer was using the slope of the roof as concealment while was getting in position. This video seems to refute that theory, and it definitely seems to. So if you watch the video, I'm sure that if you're on the stream, you've watched it several times already, you can see the shooter pops up on the left side with the first circle, and you can see him kind of running across the slope there, and he disappears behind it, and then he'll pop back up again in plain view. And we're supposed to believe that two counter sniper teams didn't see this happening the entire time. This to me raises a whole lot of questions of, did they just not do anything, or was this complete incompetence? And you know what? I have some serious questions about the shot that was made on the shooter as well. So
Oh, let's talk about that then. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what about the audio signatures? So how many shots were fired? Do you think there was another shooter? Water tower theory? You know, like what? Yeah.
so
What do you think,
from
Max? It's so much.
yeah. So a couple of things going on with that. A lot of people have been listening to the audio and trying to do an analysis on that. Um, I think we originally remember that they said that the shooter fired 5 shots, and then later they said it was 8 shots. So when you see the first video come up that has the local PD guys with their body cams on, and then the Secret Service dude is there, they're counting the casings, and they only counted 5. Then later on they counted 8. But now doing the audio analysis, we're counting 11. I think it's 11 shots fired total. And strangely enough, the last shot fired is much quieter and is kind of indicative of a suppressed weapon. So we've all probably seen the pictures of the shooter with his new additional hole to his grape. And supposedly the shooter was taken out with a 300 Win Mag. Now I have some questions about that. 300 Win Mag is a rather powerful cartridge.
That's a chunky cartridge. That's a big boy.
Yeah,
It's got some kick in it.
yeah, it's got a lot of power. There's a lot of energy behind that, and it's moving very, very fast. And you're talking about a range of less than 200 meters or yards. I always do everything in meters, so sorry, guys. It's the only thing I use the metric system for. And supposedly he caught one to the dome, but most of his head was still intact. Now, if you
I'm sure
dome shot
Duran
somebody
Thumbs.
with one,
I'm sure he's got a video.
yeah,
with
yeah,
a ballistic dummy there.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
can't we check
Brendan
this?
Herrera even did a video shooting right in the dome, and it exploded. You know what I mean?
Huh? Is the head just exploded? What?
Yeah, using one of those
I need to
ballistic
watch
dummies.
this video.
Like the whole
Uh-huh.
head's gone. The only thing's left is like the neck, which was
Oh,
really
man.
impressive. So if the attempted assassin really did catch a 300 Win Mag to the face, I'm starting to wonder. I'm sure one of the ballistics experts out there can probably inform us more. But I'm starting to wonder if he really did catch a 300 Win Mag to the face, or if it was something else. Because you would expect from a 300 Win Mag at that range that the damage would be much more catastrophic to Homeboy's grape. And it just wasn't. So I've got a few questions about that. I'm wondering now, the audio analysis is kind of indicative that the last shot fired was a suppressed round. I don't remember if the counter sniper teams were using suppressors or not. I have to go back to the
I think they
look.
were. Off the top of my head, I think they were suppressed because I seem to remember they had the heat,
Yeah.
sheaths on it. Yeah.
Now, if they were using subsonic ammunition, which is not likely in a 300 Win Mag, maybe you could explain that. But it's not.
Well, that's what I was going to lean towards, is that because it was shot suppressed and maybe at the range, it didn't have enough power to completely blow out his dome. But it did.
Man, 300 Win Mag
Do
at
what it
that
did.
range, it would have been moving so fast with so much energy that it should have just evaporated his head. You know what I mean? Not literally, but I mean, there should have been a lot of it missing, a lot more than what we have seen in the pictures. So I'm kind of curious about that. Maybe somebody else got him and they just haven't told us, or maybe there was an accomplice and Homeboy thought that he was going to get away and he got smoked. That's another thing too, is the rifle was really far away from him in the footage from the rooftop. It's like he tossed it. And we know that he had an explosive device in his vehicle.
Yeah. Yes. He had explosives. Right. Yes.
So
But
what I'm thinking is this is just a theory, conspiracy theory of mine, is that this dude is one of those useful idiots, and he was kind of the scapegoat, and they're like, yeah, just after you take the shots, just toss the rifle, set off the explosive, and the car bomb will distract everybody, and then you'll make your getaway. When in reality, whoever is really behind it had no intentions of him ever making it out of there. So that's kind of my my tinfoil hat theory on this situation right now. And I really don't think it's going to be the last. It may be another one that that could have some outside influence, or it could be a random person, because the hate and the vitriol and really the instigation of political violence against Donald Trump and conservatives is ratcheting up even more than before this event across social media. So it would not surprise me at all if we saw another crazy try to take another crack at it. And we know Secret Service is basically incompetent. I certainly hope that Trump has invested some money into private security to protect him as well. Somebody that has more loyalty than apparently Secret Service does, or more competence than what Secret Service does.
The reports are not looking good. I saw Charlie's post. Charlie Kirk was posting about that it's still very slack, and it hasn't been bumped up.
Well,
The security is
can't.
still.
They probably have such low quality agents at this point from all this wokeness that has infected every level of government operation, that they just don't have anybody better. Everybody running around out there is just someone to fill a spot that's not as qualified as someone else, but they fit a couple of check boxes. So you could say they're a DEI hire. I feel like there's a lot of that, like more than there should ever be.
It shouldn't exist. We should be hired on our
Merits.
actual ability. Yeah, our
Ability and our
merits.
merits.
Yeah. You have
Not
a
because you
CV.
fix a checkbox.
Yeah, you have the resume, the curriculum vitae, the CV, and that's your work history. And we are Americans, and we don't judge on anything but that. It's what's in you that counts, and where you want to go. It's your intention and where you've been, what you're doing. It's not the lottery of birth to dictate that. That's enough of a shit for everyone anyway. You could be born to a millionaire, or you could be born, to a fentanyl addict or a crackhead or whatever, right? You have no idea where you're going to get born into the world, where your game is going to start. But where you're going, what you're going into, that's all about you. That's your intention. Somewhat. As a child, you cannot choose. It's down really so much. But we have the direction of God. That's it. If we go with that, and hopefully, we can find good adults around us that'll guide us through. And that's why the family's under attack. They want to break that down, that safety net, that correct way to live, teaching our young, showing them the correct way to be. They want to break that down. It starts with breaking down gender roles. We're breaking down normalities. Where does it end up? It ends up with disaster. Things like this, current situation we're heading into, with people wanting to get very confused with where they're going, getting confused with their gender, with their identity, and ultimately wanting to kill anyone that
Is ideologically opposed?
Is ideologically opposed. That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
And that's a dangerous situation. And the tension in this country, it's kind of like, a lot of the times now with the way things are, I feel like the country and the people in it are walking into a building full of loose gunpowder, and they're holding a road flare. And at this point, we're just waiting on one of those sparks to touch that powder, and then things are going to get bad. And that's kind of where we're at, in my opinion. It especially with the left continually ratcheting up the rhetoric that is what it is, calling people fascists, calling people tyrants and criminals, and that they're going to ruin the nation. They're going to take all your freedoms away. It's going to be like The Handmaid's Tale. And we have to remember, there's people out there that listen to this, that believe it, and they're not stable.
They just had communists rally and communists marching They weren't taught history. The education system has failed. It's failed. Billions must be baptized, man. Fucking billions. They're fucked in the head. What are we gonna do? Check the latest post that I just sent to you. Local officials are telling Fox News that the USSS told a local sniper team to set up on the ground level looking into the crowd. Let's play it.
Yeah, let me get over that one, and we'll come back to Kamala because we got something funny from her.
Yeah. Are we gonna do it again?
We gonna do it again in 2024.
We gonna do it again in 2024.
Well, let's see what this is from Charlie Kirk, and talk about just what you're talking about here. Ground level, look into the crowd. That makes a lot of sense. Let's see what the video says.
In those first two windows.
So he's wrong about the assignment.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing to not lose sight of is, their job was on being on the outside unsecured perimeter, looking inward at those, that had already gone through security.
The local officials told Fox this was the view their two snipers had. You can see this is a different warehouse window than the one Rowe pointed to, and the vantage point is at the ground level looking into the crowd and not onto the roof. The commander of the local snipers says if the Secret Service had told them to place their snipers on the roof, they would have. Acting Director Rowe says he takes full responsibility, though, and they will be more forward and direct next time with their local counterparts. We've reached out to the Secret Service about what local law enforcement officials are saying here on the ground, and they directed us back to Rowe's congressional testimony. John.
Wow. Just the level of incompetence is mind-numbing. And I'm sure this is not the last that we'll hear about what's going on with the Trump assassination attempt. Much more is going to come out from it, and probably won't be long before you guys are hearing about another attempt on him. And Paul, you still with us, buddy?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure we hadn't lost you.
No, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm watching along, man. I didn't want to interrupt. Yeah. And
just complete incompetence. Wow. Before we let's
I'm
pop
amazed.
over here to Kamala so we can get a little laugh for everybody. A little
please.
A little cackle for everybody. But before that, if you guys are concerned about the state of the country and you don't have a food supply, you should definitely think about that emergency food supply, and you can get that from Nutrient Survival. And you can check the link if you're watching on YouTube. You can check our affiliate link that's in the description below. We'd certainly appreciate it, and I know that Nutrient Survival would appreciate it. But with that, let's go and check out Kamala's newest accent.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will.
One more time.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
And we're going to do it again in 2024. I didn't know that Kamala had a southern accent.
I do declare. I do declare.
She's the typical fake liberal that just tries to mimic whatever population that she happens to be around at the time to try and score some votes. And I don't know why these liberals don't understand. If you just be you and authentic, then maybe, just maybe, and tell the truth, you would get more votes.
Her brain's cooked, though. She's fried. I mean, what is her real policy? Let's go back over this. It's an open border. She wants to take out your AR-15. Take away your AR-15, should I say. Her and Whoopi Goldberg, they're going to come around. They're going to collect every single AR-15.
Oh, yeah.
And everything, you can keep everything else.
The federal government's going to buy back all your assault rifles. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
First off, you're not buying shit back because you're not getting them. And I'd like to see Whoopi try and confiscate anything besides a cookie.
She got very passionate about it.
I'm sure she did.
She said that she's going to take away weapons of war, the assault rifle. The assault rifle. I think it was my lot that last tried to do that, and it was in a little old year called 1776, right? Wasn't it that
Yeah,
that last came around?
yeah. Last time that a government tried to enforce an assault weapons ban was 1776, and that resulted in a revolution. So if you thought it was about taxes on tea, that was part of it, but the real kicker to the American Revolution was them trying to disarm the populace, and they weren't having it. Americans.
And it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. Obviously,
It does not work.
Gun confiscation in 1776 led to the downfall of an empire.
Gun confiscation is crazy. Look across the world. Everywhere they've done it, it's insane. It's asinine. It's foolish. Let's not do it. Not being able to trust your citizens with firearms is just turning them into subjects, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
And-
yeah. Speaking of which, with what's going on in the UK, they had those 3 little girls that were stabbed to death by a migrant. And
Terrible.
yeah, absolutely terrible. By someone who should have never been in the country. And then when the people revolt against it, and they start rising up, you know, they've burned some police cars and stuff like that. In my opinion, rightly so, because the police are not doing anything. They're not allowed to do anything about it. These so-called migrants just run amok all over England. They start calling the people who are sick and tired of it right-wing extremists in the UK, because they're tired of their country being taken over by people from other countries.
Crazy. I left the UK a very long time. One of the things that really finally kicked it for me was when a friend of mine was arrested for flying the Union Jack.
The national flag of
The
England.
national flag. He was arrested for it and put into questioning for it. And I said, enough is enough is enough is enough of enough. What a fucking insane country. And I mean, it's a very slippery slope since then. I don't think it's coming back from that until leadership can emerge, and it's no longer controversial to talk about these things. People need to learn the facts of law and order. Law and order comes about through peace. Peace comes about through a gun. Whether you like it or not, it comes about through firearms. That's why guns are so important in our society. We just can't have it in another way.
War.
Right. We can't have it another way. We need a hard target at our schools, and we need to have fathers and mothers that are trained with firearms, that are responsible with them, that know how to use them, that can carry every day. And it makes the world a safe place. It's our safety net. It's our brotherhood. It's our family, our human family, team humanity. You know, that's what to get on this year. That's the trend. That's the way forward. It really doesn't matter what you believe in, but just believe in one thing: peace. Making sure that you want peace as a priority. We don't want crime in our society. We want law and order. And in order to get there, to have it there, it requires a firearm. It requires the deadly threat, because people value their life. They value what is good and holy to them. They don't want to die. So hopefully we never need to use all these firearms. But if we don't have them, then, you know, a lot of people say that there's something like there's too much firearms. So there's like 5 per 1 person in the States or something. Is that really something to look at? Why is that such a concern? Clearly, we can see from the stats that crime rates have dropped off in direct correlation with more firearms that are owned. And that's the chart they don't want you to see. That's the graphic they don't want to put up on the TV.
They intentionally skew the numbers to try and make that look not real, too.
Always. And they will always debate it and try and find that conclusion with modern data. But the thing is, if you compare the societies, if we compare Sweden now, if we compare Germany, the UK, they're not safer places. There's no way they're safer places. All of those citizens, I believe, are mature enough, responsible enough, the ones that have got their shit together to pay those ungodly taxes, to live in that crazy dystopia. How the hell can we say that those men, those fathers that have had to carry their families through ridiculous inflation, prohibitions on all of their farming, all of their industry, all this crazy EU law, right? We can't trust them with a 9mm. What? We can't trust them with a 12 gauge?
Well,
it makes no
it's
fucking
not
sense.
that the people can't trust them. It's that the government can't trust them.
Because if you
That's
live by
what
the
it's
sword,
about.
you must die by the sword. They don't want it that there's a Second Amendment worldwide. And that's why anyone who gets out there in front of a stage is going to try and talk down on the Second Amendment. They don't understand it. But you can't have the first without the second. It's fucking vitally important that everyone understands that. You can't have freedom of speech
You
unless
can't
the
have freedom
politicians
of
that enforce
anything
it.
without
Yeah.
the threat of force. All those rights in the Bill of Rights, all those amendments that give people their freedoms and their rights to the Constitution, they are just words on paper, and they are toothless without the threat of force against the government.
It's a fact. And there's nothing we can do about it. Otherwise, we end up, if we put our heads in the sand and live away from it, look at the situation in the UK, in Europe. If you value those countries, if you love those countries, you cannot continue to let leaders be, really able to dictate a way that is anti-freedom, right? You have to speak these words and say, well, why is it that only the police, only the protected class is allowed to arm themselves? Is only their lives valuable? Are the citizens' lives not valuable? Is that what it really boils down to? You
I
want
think
us
that
to
goes
pay
back to
all this
feudalism.
tax?
That's the
It
history of
does.
feudalism that is still ingrained in the culture of Europe.
It's a
And
damn shame, is what it is. It's a fucking shame that people can't see through the bullshit and they buy into gun control. It doesn't work. We're going to lead into something now with Glock, with what's going on with Glock, and I believe
yeah,
6 Hour as well. That there is an attack going on right now. It's something that we're trying to cover. It is a real story here, guys.
it's
That there is,
important that we pay attention to this.
it's fucking important what's going on. There is manufacturers of the automatic Glock switch out of country.
China.
And they bring it in, right? They bring it in, they modify the handgun. Now, the most prevalent handgun in our society is, of course, the Glock. It's the most used, the most owned, right? So
Probably in the
by
world.
doing that, possibly in the world, right? Of course, we got 6 Hour, we got CZ. So Glock is there with this auto switch on it. It makes it a target, problem, reaction, solution, Trojan horse, right? We're the biggest army in the world. So how do you attack it? How do you find a chink in the armor? Start disarming with the lowest common denominator, the handgun. So what it is to try and create a trend of irresponsibility, of modifying your handgun and sort of glamorizing criminality and asinine behavior, moronic, fucking foolish behavior, right? So they go out and they pop off a load of shots with the blicky switch, right? And they make it look real cool. But it is a felony. And no one's going down for it. What's happening is they're going to try and sue Glock. They're going to try and frame Glock next.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. We covered this a couple of months ago. New York were the first ones to start this by filing a lawsuit against Glock. And then we told everyone, you need to pay a lot of attention. Like, everybody knows that New York's insane when it comes to gun laws. But you need to be paying a lot of attention to what's going on in New York in this lawsuit against Glock. Because other areas on the left are going to start doing the same thing that New York's doing. And we're seeing that now in Chicago. Stabby's here. He said, I guess I'm not brown enough to think that looks cool. Listen, you got to have those ETS magazines with it too. You got to have those Stendo mags. But
that's funny you say that. The next clip I've got queued up is PSR, a little funny one with ETS mags. So there you go. How synchronized.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, man.
Let's take a look at this story and get a little bit of details on it, because we know that New York is doing an extremely similar thing. So, Truth About Guns tells us the city of Chicago has filed a new lawsuit against Glock Inc., accusing the gun manufacturer of contributing to the city's gun violence crisis by designing pistols that can easily be modified into automatic weapons.
Horseshit.
The lawsuit filed in state court comes after the city withdrew a similar federal suit earlier this month. According to a recent feature by ProPublica, an autoseer, or switch, which is used to convert a Glock semi-automatic pistol into a so-called machine gun capable of rapid rate of fire, are flooding Chicago as the city grapples with yet another violent summer. ProPublica reports that Chicago's suit against Glock, its Austria-based parent company, and two local retailers Midwest Sporting Goods in Lyons and Eagle Sport Range in Oak Forest, alleges that Glock has designed its pistols in a way that facilitates illegal modification and has failed to take necessary steps to protect the public from these modifications. City officials told the media outlet that in the past 2 years, Chicago police have recovered nearly 1,200 Glock pistols equipped with auto-sear devices. These modified firearms have been linked to numerous crimes, including homicides. Chicago's lawsuit represents a shift in legal tactics against the gun industry. Historically, municipalities and victims have faced significant obstacles in holding gun manufacturers accountable due to the Federal Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act, which shields gun makers from liability for crimes committed with their products. Passed in 2005, PLCAA has been used by gun manufacturers to thwart numerous unjustifiable lawsuits. However, recent legal tactics have shown that there are ways to navigate around PLCAA's protections, according to ProPublica. They note that Chicago's new lawsuit is narrower in scope, targeting specific allegations of negligence and wrongdoing that are now barred by the Illinois Firearm Industry Responsibility Act, enacted in 2023, and currently being challenged in court by the National Shooting Sports Foundation. The state law restricts how gun dealers and manufacturers can market and sell their products and subjects them to civil penalties for violations. Steve Kane, an attorney for the city, emphasized the significance of this new legal framework. Quote, "That's a big difference from where we were back in 2000, unquote," Kane said. The lawsuit argues that Glock's design make it easy to install auto-sears, increasing their popularity among criminals. The legal landscape for gun manufacturers is evolving. Despite the broad immunity provided by PLCAA, plaintiffs have found success by leveraging specific exceptions in the law. For example, the families of victims in the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting secured a $73 million settlement by arguing that Remington's marketing of Bushmaster rifle violated Connecticut's consumer protection laws. ProPublica reports that Chicago's lawsuit also follows a string of recent legal actions against the gun industry. In 2021, the city sued West Force Sports, a gun retailer in Gary, Indiana, over alleged negligence in preventing illegal gun sales. Although a Cook County judge dismissed the lawsuit in May 2023, citing jurisdictional issues, the city has appealed the decision. Chicago's new lawsuit is part of Mayor Brandon Johnson's broader strategy to address gun violence, which includes funding violence prevention and intervention programs. Bradley Johnson, Chief Community Officer for BUILD, a Chicago civic group, supports the city's approach. Reducing gun crime requires a broad strategy, including holding gun makers accountable for how their products are misused, he told ProPublica. As legal battles over PLCAA continue, state legislatures are also weighing in. Some states have passed laws to further immunize the gun industry. Others, like Illinois, have enacted legislation to hold gun makers accountable for public safety violations. Chicago's latest legal effort is just one more grenade launched over the wall at gun rights and companies that make products that work as engineered, revealing anti-gun politicians and leaders will stop at nothing until they have eroded Second Amendment rights under the guise of gun safety. If one legal or legislative scheme won't work, they will always come up with another. This is a very accurate story. I agree with everything in it. And what is happening to Glock from New York and Chicago is repulsive. It shouldn't be legal, and we need to put a stop to it. And Glock is very much in the crosshairs of the anti-gun lobby because they are the most popular handgun in America. More Glocks are sold every year than any other handgun. More Glocks are owned than any other handgun in America. And what's the easiest way to get rid of them? Well, you just sue Glock to the point that, and you don't even have to win. You just have to make them expend tremendous amounts of cash constantly in legal fees to defend themselves until you make the company insolvent. And that's really what it is here. It's lawfare.
That's it. That's what's going on. And that's how they attack the Second Amendment. Through that and through narrative, through other commentators, influencers, reaction channels saying that the Second Amendment isn't what it actually is. That comes all the way from the top, from Jamie Raskin, of course, who's constantly repeating the same old story. Every time he talks, even after Trump's assassination, the first thing that he brings up in Congress is gun control with the same exact talking points. It's incredible. He's
Amazing,
he's like a dog with a scent. He's going after it and going after it. And yeah, just looking for a clip here to pull up another guy who's always talking about.
No, Steve, they sell a lot of high points, but Glock is without a doubt the most popular handgun in America. High points may be extremely popular among certain demographics, but more Glocks are sold than any other handgun.
When you had the gun store, you used to sell numerous Glocks per day.
Yeah.
So multiple Glocks were sold every day.
Yeah. Although I will say that when we had the gun store, probably our biggest seller was actually Ruger. Which Ruger?
Oh yeah, the
the
LCP Max. Let's not forget CCW, baby.
Yeah,
it's all about
Max
CCW
sold like crazy.
Yeah,
and then Smith would compete with them by dropping the price down ridiculously low on new M&P 2.0s, to where if you didn't buy one because they were so cheap, whether you like them or not, you were crazy. They were just that affordable. And that said, I really like the M&P 2.0 if the grip wasn't so aggressive. Other than that, fantastic pistol.
The M&P, that's Smith & Wesson, yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the only ones that fired after the ICE test. Was it the ICE test?
Yeah. The ICE test that Grand Thumb did. It was out of all the handguns they tested, it was one of the very few that managed to fire and continue to fire after they froze it in what would be an excessive amount of freezing. So if you haven't seen that video, head over to Grand Thumb's channel and check it out. It's pretty cool seeing what is effectively a $300 handgun outperform guns that are much higher in the weight category when it comes to their price.
Yeah, have a look at the latest link. It's our favorite friend, Zelna Myrie. People may not have seen it. It's only got 73 views, so hopefully I'm bringing something new to the crowd. This is a guy who advocates for gun control. It's the latest one in the Cord chat, bro.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we were going to PSR.
We'll go. Just do PSR in a minute. I want just stay on the Glock thing for a second. I want to show this clip because no one's seen it, and it will be coming in our next documentary, in our Lawfare documentary we're working on right now, which is all about this topic, all about the Switch. Well, hopefully we'll be able to show a little preview, a little trailer of that very soon.
Oh, I hope so.
Get shit together.
All right, so this is, of course, a somber occasion, but it is also sneaker day in Albany. So I'm going to ask you for the cameras to just put your kicks out like this if you got them on. If you got them on,
forward a little bit.
Just put them out like this. Yep, hold on.
I would say.
All right. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good.
Minutes in. Let's get it. Let's just see when he starts talking about guns. He talks for a while about it.
I want you to repeat that after me. Every life lost is a policy failure. It is a choice. We are choosing to let our children die. And the unfortunate reality, as mentioned by my colleagues, is that those children often look like me, like you, like many of us here. And instead of using every single tool at our disposal to end it, we choose not to fund after-school programs. We choose not to give our kids alternatives to the streets. We choose to let illegal guns flow, not from Brooklyn, not from the Bronx, not from Queens, not from Harlem. These are guns from out of state. We choose to let people print in their homes ghost guns.
Oh no, 3D
Glock
printers.
switches. We choose that. So we're standing here today to say one thing and one thing only. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
We refuse to let our kids die. We refuse to have people in our community feel unsafe. We refuse to have our survivors have to come up every year. It's ridiculous. How dare we? They have to use their pain every single year, begging for policy solutions. No more. No more. No more. I am proud to stand with the warriors, with our people, with the streets, because we know the solutions to our problems. We live it. So my colleagues in government, many of whom are standing with us today, will be marshaling every resource at their disposal to get a gun safety package across the finish line this week.
We will.
I am proud to see our Office of Gun Violence Prevention here as well. They will be marshaling every resource to keep our communities safe this week. I am happy to see the City of New York here. They will be marshaling their resources to get this package passed this week. And to everyone under the sound of our voices today, marshal every resource you have to ensure we get the solutions this week. God bless. Thank you, everybody.
Now, a lot of people don't know who Zellner Myrie is, and Paul has taken a particular interest in this character. He is a left-wing crazy. He is staunchly anti-gun, and all of his stuff is available on YouTube that you watch, but nobody's seen it. But he always has a crowd around him, and he's kind of a low-key. Yeah, he's a low-key, dangerous person to our fundamental freedoms. And Paul, I'll let you take it away from there, because I know you have done a lot of research on Zellner Myrie and and know a lot about what's going on there.
One thing we've got to know about these guys is that they all have a background in law. So it surprises me, Zellner, Jamie Raskin as well, who's a Republican. They all say a very similar rhetoric, though, which we can all tie together, which amounts to a gun control of like complete disarmament. And the stats don't back up with that. They're not talking with law enforcement. They're not talking with other departments, I don't think, because they're constantly bringing about this same thing that in a magical world, we can just disarm everything and that's going to make everything better. When really, you know, he says he's a man who's very passionate about peace. He wants to see an end to gun crime. He wants to see an end to people suffering. Well, in that sense, he should really learn how to use an AR-15. I don't think he really understands the situation. He understands the stats at all. One thing you heard him bring up in his speech there, the Glock switch. And it makes a point of appearing many times. Now, anyone in their right mind who's sane about this and looking at the legality of the thing, the Glock switch is being manufactured outside of the country and being imported. So
Which
the
means
legality
it goes
of
through
it,
customs.
right? And it's sold on an internet website or several websites in the country because they're accessible through the internet. Some of them have offices and formation, an LLC or their corporation in the United States. I don't want to name names here, right? You can draw the dots together of what's going on here, okay? And you know that those companies are not American companies.
They're all from
They're
China.
international companies. Possibly. I don't know exactly where they're from, but you get what I'm saying. They're not. Let's just make it clear that it's not Americans that are doing this. Because when people have made, like Twin Bros, when they've made the trigger reset, which isn't a Glock switch,
safety.
which is super safety, yeah. When people have made these things, or like the polymer frames, right, and they get raided, they're treated with a very different legal structure. They're raided. Why aren't they raiding the port? Why aren't they raiding the Glock switch warehouse? It's coming in through the port. It makes no sense. Why are they going after Glock? Why is it Glock that's got to change their design? Just prohibit the switch from coming in the country. Just prohibit people from selling the switch.
You can't design this out anyway. You cannot design this out. Any firearm out there that is a semi-automatic firearm can be converted with enough know-how into an automatic weapon. Period. Glocks are just the easy target right now because because of the mass production from enemies of this country that are flooding the streets with this. And you could even, put on our tinfoil hat here and say that the government allows this to happen so that they can, in fact, go after gun manufacturing companies and use this as an excuse.
Yes, that's what I'm
it's-
saying.
Yeah, and that's to me, that's what it is. Is they could stop the flow of these things from foreign nations if they wanted to, but they choose not to because it makes it easier for them to accomplish their agenda, which is disarmament.
You will see in the documentary that if you try to source these things, they are even in the predictive search of
Yes.
large corporations. Okay, so it's a thing, like it's part of their filter system. You can buy this as easy as really purchasing anything, as easy as,
From large
buying a fidget spinner.
corporations that probably, if you're married, probably your wife is ordering from on a regular basis, and packages were showing up from those kinds of corporations, not out of your way corporations.
So that's who needs to be shut down for it. That's where our politicians really need to put the fire. That's where law and order needs to reign. It's not on Glock. They're trying to sue Glock. God knows why. It's lawfare. And we will be talking a lot more about it. It will be on stream a lot more as we develop the documentary. And it's just tracking the rhetoric that's coming out right now to make sure we got everything in one place. And then we'll, like I'm saying, we'll bring out
What's
the
the same
trailer.
thing they're doing against Trump? They with the 34 convictions and all that crap. That is merely using the law as a weapon. And
Yeah.
they're doing it to Trump. They're doing it to gun companies.
Yeah.
They'll be doing it to ammunition manufacturers before long, I'm sure. And
For sure.
what? All you fuds out there that say, "Well, I just got my bolty boy, buddy, and all I ever need to do is go and hunt." Well, let me tell you something. They're going to be coming for your bolt action rifles too. And the next thing that they're going to want to target is your optics, because the optics are so good. They're going to say, "Well, you don't need an optic capable of seeing and able to hit a target at 14 and 1500 yards because you're not going to hunt deer that far. Who needs an optic that can see that far?" Guarantee you that it will come down the pipe. It will. They're coming for you too, fuds and boomers. You are on the chopping block too. Don't think that they're not going to come after you. It's just people like us who are Second Amendment absolutists that are standing in their way right now. And just like Trump is standing in the way of the left-wing politicians in both the Democratic and the Republican Party, he is the man standing in their way. We are standing in the way of their gun agenda. And if you don't back us up now, they're going to come for you next. And then there's not going to be anybody left.
So if you're using the Glock switch for fun as well, this is the other thing. If you're just playing around with it and like it's fun, you know what I mean? I can understand how there's an influencer trend out there where fuck the government, right? So it's like cool to own one, but you gotta understand that that is a psyop. That is a game. By you putting one on, by you using it, you're gonna lose your gun.
Yeah. If we
You get what I mean?
If we want to make machine guns cool again, which we totally need to do, then I get it. You want to say fuck the system and just do whatever, but you're right. You're playing right in their hands. We need to really combat the NFA. We need to combat the Hughes Amendment, which is complete shit. We need to combat the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, which is completely ineffective. We need to combat these things so that we can start manufacturing. And the right way is to start by going after the Hughes Amendment. Start with the Hughes Amendment first because it is the easier of the things to argue against. That way we could at least get new production machine guns back into the hands of the people instead of them having to be made before 1986. Now, on the flip side of that coin, you also have gun owners themselves who don't want that to happen because they have invested lots of money into these machine guns as retirement options, because when they get older, these guns go up in value tremendously and they intend to sell them for a profit when they retire, so they can go have their nice little home down in Miami and do whatever the hell they want to do. So those people are also fighting against you repealing the Hughes Amendment, and they're supposed to be gun people. That's the the big
how
problem.
much is one
with
retailing for now? Like, sort of market price.
A full auto transferable M16, probably about 100,000.
Wow.
The cheapest transferable machine gun you could get would be a oh shoot, what was that thing? It was a real chintzy piece of junk from Cobra. I think it was Cobra. And they would still be, $7,000 or $8,000. That would be the cheapest that you could get into one. But if you want a transferable M16, yeah, you're talking big boy change, and they only go up from there. The longer time goes by, the less these things are available to be transferable, the more expensive they become. Now, I remember when you could get Mag 58s, which is an M240, and at that time you could get a Mag 58. It was still a lot of money. It was like $20,000. But now a Mag 58, if you can even find a transferable one for sale, is going to cost you $250,000 at least.
Wow.
So think
That's
about
crazy.
if you had bought two or three, if you had the money and you bought two or three of these things back in the day when they were 20 grand, what kind of return on investment that you've had? You've had a great return on investment. And you don't want those things to become legal from a new manufacturer, because suddenly your investment ain't worth shit.
Interesting. So, but with the full auto, see, I didn't know that about it. But with the full auto on the Glock, essentially, it's just a case of confiscation of the Glock. They're going to glamorize that. It's in all the YouTube shorts, which, by the way, are never getting restricted. They're never getting hit down. But when an actual gun tuber displays full auto fire, it's a problem. But there's tons and tons of channels of Glock switches on YouTube Shorts. There's no problem with them.
Of illegal guns or illegal modifications to guns.
Yeah, that's all over YouTube. There's no problem with that. But when Garen Thumb does it, or when Brandon Herrera does it, it's a problem.
Bueno.
Yeah.
And
how the fuck does that make sense?
Yeah, and remember too, this isn't just about Glock. Glock is just the first one that they're going after, because striker fired guns, they're all very similar. There's only so many ways to skin a cat when it comes to making a striker fired gun, which means that all striker fired guns are just as easy to convert as a Glock is. They'll start with Glock, and if they're able to eliminate Glock, they're coming for every other striker fire handgun after that. And then when they discover that you can do the same thing with hammer fired guns, they're going to come for those too. And they're going to try to diminish us to single shots and bolt actions. I guess straight pull bolts have become a thing again.
And how will they come for the bolt? You said they're going to come for the old bolty boy. How are they going to get down to how are they going to take the bolt action?
Well, they're going to call bolty boys are going to become sniper rifles. Every bolty boy is going to be a sniper rifle. I mean, if you think about it now, it's pretty easier for them to do that. You can walk into any gun shop in America. You can buy a $400 rifle that shoots 1 MOA, and you slap a scope on top of that. Boom, you got a sniper rifle now, Bubba, in whatever caliber you want. If they think that 5.56 explodes heads and blows the lungs out of the body, just wait until they discover 30-06 and 300 Win Mag and 338 Lapua.
Right. To go back to the start of the stream, yeah, that's that's the most devastating rounds. If people don't know listening, of course you know, but yeah.
Yep. Or
the 5.56 is
Barrett.
Oh, the Barrett.
And then you have a couple states like California where you can't have 50 caliber because they're afraid that
50 cal.
They're afraid you're going to shoot down a helicopter with one.
It's being discussed right now. Yeah, they want the 50 cal to also be banned because they're saying that it's a problem with the cartel having it. They can, work at a longer range, and it's too long an effective range.
Yeah, there are a lot of 50 caliber, particularly Barrett rifles that have made their way into Mexico and into the hands of the cartels. Now, to give you a little bit of history on that and our own personal experience, when I was a dealer, one of the most, the gun, not one of the most, but the rifle that we sold that had the most gun traces ran on it by ATF was a Barrett M82.
Wow. And those things sell for 5K, 10K,
More than that,
10 racks,
eight or $9,000 for just the rifle. So we had the best price on the M82 for a long time. We sold a lot of M82s, and it's not that the people buying them were trafficking them. It's that they would, of course, you get a Barrett 50 caliber. You want to tell everybody, like, yeah, check me out, bro. I'm such a Chad. I got my M82, and you're going to show it off, and you're going to show everybody pictures. Well, guess what? People that you don't want to know are going to figure out that you have one. So they end up being extremely commonly stolen. And when they're stolen, they tend to make their way toward the border to the cartels, because the cartels will pay big money to get their hands on a Barrett.
Oh, I bet they pay big bucks. So, right. So people scope it out on social media. They want to get friends with gun tubers. They want to get friends with people into guns. They find out when you get your big purchase, then they steal it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's how most of the Barretts are making there. It's not people trafficking them, as in the original purchaser. I'm sure in some cases that does happen. There's always a bad apple out there, but in majority of the cases, it's the individual who purchased this firearm has had it stolen, and now it's going to Mexico. And a lot of them do get recovered. The only reason that I have a trace going on is because they typically recovered that firearm, and they're wanting to know, they're trying to figure out who it went to and how it got to where it was found, and trying to build a paper trail if possible. But most of the time that's ineffective too, because, well, there's only the record to the original purchaser. The original purchaser does not have to, you have no obligation to keep any records of how you dispose of that firearm if you intend to get rid of it. So that paper trail ends that way a lot. But M82s, yeah, they're a big target, and the government wants to essentially get rid of the Barrett and 50 caliber rifles because of Mexican drug cartels, which have nothing to do with this country, that they are letting have free run of our border, and then they wonder how guns are getting there. Surprise, right? A nation without borders, and all of a sudden guns are being trafficked to another country? There's a shock.
Well, it's almost like open the border, let the guns get trafficked, then that works as a way to disarm us, because there's a big problem with that. So it's problem, reaction, solution again. It's the same thing again. Put the Glock switches on, say it's a problem, take the Glocks away. Open up the border, let the rifles go across, take the rifles across. Yeah. It's a way of disarmament. It's a means to an end.
Absolutely.
Again, it's another form of lawfare, but in the sense of a law on our own internal policies.
And if you got rid of 50 BMG, it's not going to do anything. Because the cartels, if they couldn't get 50 BMG, they'll just go to the next biggest caliber that they can get a hold of. Or they don't even need to go to us. They can just go to Afghanistan with the billions of dollars worth of firearms that we left behind there that are now in the hands of the Taliban, which we've seen in Mexican cartels. We've seen Mexican cartels carrying around javelins. And if you don't know what a javelin is, that is essentially a fire and forget anti-tank weapon. It can also be used as an anti-aircraft weapon, and it's extremely expensive. Cartels have been spotted with tow missiles, and they're not getting this stuff. They're not getting this stuff from Joe's gun shop down in Texas. They're getting it from a military organization somewhere. And people really need to think about that. It's not about that. This is all smoke and mirrors to slowly whittle away the firearms that you have access to. And,
for sure, man.
And even shotguns. They'll come for shotguns too. Because, shotguns, the only reason you can have shotgun in the first place is because they have a special exception to the law. all shotguns are actually considered destructive devices. But they
Really?
have it, yes, all shotguns are considered destructive devices, but they have an exception for them as a sporting purpose. That is the only reason that you can have a shotgun. A great example is the street sweeper. So the street sweeper was made, it wasn't made illegal per se back in the 90s, but they changed the classification of the street sweeper shotgun from sporting to just being a destructive device, so they had no sporting purpose. And if you owned a street sweeper, you were required by law to register that with the NFA as a destructive device. So those people that had them, most of them, great example, my father had one when this took place. He sold it and let it be the next guy's problem. But that's the kind of things that they'll do. They could easily just decide at one point that all shotguns are destructive devices, that they don't have a sporting exemption, and now all shotguns are verboten.
Damn. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But it's not possible, is it? And there's no way that they
Sure, it's
could
possible.
take away the shotgun.
They did the street sweeper. They went after Fostech with their Origin 12 with the pistol brace on it and called it a short barrel shotgun. I think they did the same thing to the KUSA little short 12 gauge firearm that they had. What was that thing called? I wanted one really bad, but I think those are back now. But the Fostech Origin became a big deal. The KUSA gun became a big deal, and you just couldn't even get those for a long time. Had to go through court. It was a long time before we started seeing those guns again. And ATF even went so far as to contact owners of those firearms and say, hey, you're going to have to register this firearm as a short barrel shotgun. Even though they may have owned it for years up to this point. So yeah, they can do that. They can do whatever they want because they just make up the rules as they go. They decide they want to change the sporting exemption for a shotgun, you're cooked. You're done. And
Very sobering thoughts this evening. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. Yeah. I have the next clip. It's the STS mags, which we were talking about earlier.
Oh, the ETS mags, the PSR one, right? Yeah.
Sorry, ETS, not STS. Yes, the ETS mags. Yes, yes. Let's take a look at that.
Couple stendos. Got the 40 round ETS. Oh, sheesh. 80 rounds in the freaking P320 Raider.
Oh. Here it comes.
ETS moment already. Womp womp. It's the mag that, let's try to get. Oh, there we go. Now it's working. Oh, psych. 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 ETS reliability, guys. It's good stuff. Oh, dick.
All right. So I'm going to go out there and go ahead and say that ETS mags are garbage. You should never, ever waste your money on an ETS magazine. Please do not buy those magazines. They're complete trash. Now, what is also funny about this is we see certain demographics of people that are using Glocks with auto switches on them, and they got their Stendo mags in them, showing them off, and guess what magazine they're always using?
ETS?
They're using ETS magazines, which means that weapon, even though it's got a Glock switch on it, it's probably not going to work. Goon Deals said, I own one and it sucks. Yes, they do. I've tried them out. They suck really bad. So don't waste your money on them. If you own an ETS mag, the best place that you can put it is in the garbage bin. because that's where it deserves to go. Now, if you want to solve gun crime in Chicago, my best choice is drop off a bunch of auto switches for free and give them a shitload of ETS magazines to go with it, with some cheap steel case ammunition, and gun crime in Chicago will drop dramatically.
Maybe that's how they're trying to disarm us, bro. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we used to have a joke too that I hate to say this about them because they sell a lot of stuff, but I've never had a good experience with this particular brand either. We always used to say that if you want to win a war against a foreign nation, just drop off several crates of Bear Creek Arsenal ARs to them beforehand, and you'll win the war because none of their guns will work. That said, some of their stuff does work, but I personally have not had a good experience with Bear Creek Arsenal firearms. If you have out there in chat land, you can let us know, but mine has been rather disappointing. Goondeal says that Bear Creek sucks. I mean, I've had more, when I had the gun store, I had more people come in with broken Bear Creek Arsenal guns out of the box than anything else. And
Out of the box.
Out of the box. Like brand new.
Dead on arrival.
Dead on arrival. Brand new Bear Creek Arsenal uppers in 308, and you couldn't chamber around, or they wouldn't extract. The chambers were made too tight, or the feed ramps had spurs all over them. The bolts weren't manufactured right. You couldn't even get the bolt to go in there. All kinds of craziness, man. And you just have to send it back and get it fixed.
I got the next clip, some music for everyone to enjoy their evening.
Oh.
We've got some entertainment.
Yes. Yeah, this one's great. So
some entertainment for you.
So everybody loves liberal white women that hate themselves, and this is a great example of that.
What's happening in the chat? Oh. It sucks. Yeah. Oh, there.
Who gives a shit if Taylor Swift is on your side? What's Taylor Swift movie?
Child free.
This video was so gay that it gave me AIDS. It's atrocious. And why is Taylor Swift such a big thing to liberals? Why is she like such an icon? Who gives a shit what Taylor Swift thinks? She's a pop star. She's filthy rich. She doesn't give a fuck what you think. All she cares about is that you're going to be paying $1,200 for that damn ticket to go and see her show or to take your kid to her show. Outside of that, she doesn't give a fuck about you. Quit pretending like she does. And for
you're upsetting
environmentalists,
people.
Yeah, well, I
people,
was.
Man.
I'm going to get the Swifties on my case without a doubt. I despise Taylor Swift. She's garbage. Her music sucks. She supposedly cares about the environment, and she's just nuking the stratosphere with her private jet all the time. Let's go. We can always take a look at her carbon emissions if you're concerned about that. And furthermore, with this woman, she's going on about being child-free. But everybody that I know that is this woman's age that is child-free are miserable people down inside. They're just absolutely miserable while pretending to be happy that they have no family, that they have no children, and that their life is just grand because they're going out and they're partying all the time like they're 21 again. And
I'm
this
gonna
woman's
take a
obviously
stab
not
in the
21.
dark. She just didn't get dicked down enough, I think.
That's what it is. Destroyed by feminism.
Yeah. I really think that's what's going on. She doesn't look so well. in terms of like, in terms of this video, she looked kind of confused. Is it trolling? It's really real. Like, this is really a real thing, or she's trolling us? I think she's trolling us.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot of this crap that comes out from the left where they're just so they're pretending to be so happy with their lives, being family free by going out there and getting pounded by 20 guys in the club every weekend. That they're just living their high life, and they can spend all their money on whatever they want because they don't have to worry about spending any money on a kid. So their lives are so great because they have all these material possessions, and they never want to experience the joy and the happiness of bringing a life into this world and having a kid that depends on you and looks up to you as a role model, and what it means to actually have a family and how much happiness that brings. At that point, when you have a kid, man, and you know this, Paul, when you have a kid, material things mean a whole lot less because none of those material things are going to deliver the happiness to you that a child is.
Right, you're living in the moment. The days are passing, the years are passing. You're seeing them grow. Yeah, it's incredible. I recommend it to anyone out there. Get married, have children. This woman's talking nonsense. Yeah, this one, as many as you can afford and provide for, as many as you can. And if you can't, then I understand the economy fucking stinks. But at least have it in your heart. Then that's what your attention is. That's what I think. The replacement rate, the R rate, the birth rate is far too low, and we are possibly in terminal decline already, or maybe already a year or so in. With the Deagle stats being updated, it looks like 2/3 of the population is gonna go. And that's extremely sobering to get into our heads. And how will our society look like when 2/3 are gone? I mean, we're talking 60%, 70% gone.
The globalists would love population collapse because they only want a fraction of the people on this planet to be living here, because then they could have their aristocracy and just use us common folk as their servants. That's why they want depopulation.
Well, AI is the servant, and then quite a different world, I think. Yeah, a brave new world.
A brave new world.
A wonderful dystopia.
So we can be decanted as epsilons and gammas and betas and alphas, and all have our little classes. And
I think it's already started.
Have perversion put into our minds starting at the age of 5.
Beta.
Wait, that's already happening. Go to your library and read some of your kids' books in there, and see if the perversion is not already being taught them, just not as a direct way, as much of a direct way as Aldous Huxley talked about in Brave New World. But that's coming.
It's grim, isn't it? Yeah. You want to have a look at this next video? It's Hog again. We got the Hog hunt for today. Ladies and gentlemen, for this section of the show, we got the Hog.
He's got a real hard on for this Tim Waltz guy, doesn't he?
He is loving Tim, and I know that Tim wears a camo hat, and he shoots pheasants, so I instantly feel like a connection to him. You know what I mean? Like, he's obviously, this guy speaks sense, apparently. And the phrase they're using is brat. And of course, they're also using weird. They're trying to frame everything as weird. Anything that Vance says is weird. Watch this video and let's see if the word weird comes to mind. I don't know why he posted it twice. I think you need to select one of these ones with captions. That's why. I think maybe play the one with captions. I don't know.
I think one's just zoomed in more. I don't know. It's weird.
Let's run it, though.
I thought it was just one earlier, but yeah, we'll hit.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I can't even find the audio. Oh, okay, here we go.
Hi, Minnesota. Governor Walz here, along with
Hope.
We're making sure we remind all of you hands-free driving starts on the 1st of August. We want to make sure our teen drivers are not texting and...
No. I think it's actually mostly bald men.
Cut. All right, once again, Minnesotans, we're here making sure millennials are putting down the phone. And
I think it's actually adults, Dad. Like older people like you.
Cut.
Hey guys, this is Hope Walls and I'm here with my dad. Governor Walz, and we're just here talking about the new hands-free law, and I'm just going to show him how to prop his phone up so it's not in his hand and he can still see his navigation. All right, just like this.
Cut. Hey, Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz here. What in the... Governor Walz here trying to get rid of a child for anyone. On the 1st of August, Minnesota's new law is hands-free, making sure teens aren't Snapchatting.
I think it's everything, like texting, calling, like it's all hands-free, not just Snapchat, Dad.
All right, cut. One more time. Turn it down.
Why?
We're making a distracted driving video and you have the radio up too loud. Hey, Minnesota, Governor Walz here along with Hope, who listens to the radio too loudly. Well, it's a distracted driving video we're trying to make. Okay.
Keep both hands on the wheel, phone out of sight, out of mind.
Good advice. You are ready for college.
Cut.
So make sure when you get in your car,
Your hands free.
in states that have hands-free driving, we reduced fatalities and accidents by over 15%. We want to make sure that everybody gets home safely. Hope, any advice for Minnesotans?
What he said.
It's not worth it, Minnesota. Put the phone down. It's the law of the land. More importantly, it's going to keep Minnesotans safe.
I'm glad I get to drive on the roads with this law in effect.
I bet you do. Well, there you have it. That is Hoggy Boy's new love interest. And the way I feel about it is anyone that David Hogg thinks is a good person is someone that you should probably detest. And let's not forget that Governor Walz has been atrocious for his state as well. But you know,
What's he done? Do you know about that? Do you?
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
For me,
A
it's a
little
blind
bit.
spot. I don't know.
I've known a couple of
about
things
Walz.
that Stabby has mentioned about how awful
yeah.
it is. And I'm sure if he was in the chat, he would be more than happy to enlighten us. Maybe that's something we should dive into a little bit for the next show. We can really just talk about Governor Walz and his atrocious record and all the crap that he's done to his state that people just detest. He's, from what I understand, he's about on the same level of bad as Governor Whitmer of Michigan, and that's saying something. He might not be Gavin Newsom awful, but he's still pretty awful.
Run the next clip. He's directly going after JD Vance.
Yeah. Let's see what he's got to say on this one.
Speaking about the people at his rally, and I want to be very clear. I'm not speaking about the people at his rallies. Those are my relatives. Those are folks that are there. And look, he would be entertaining.
Because that's what
if he
Republicans are
wasn't a
saying.
threat
They're
to all
saying,
those
"Oh,
things.
you're calling Trump and all his supporters weird."
That is exactly the last thing I'm saying. I'm saying these are folks, like I said, these are my neighbors. They're there. These are good people. They're going there because, yeah, they're disenfranchised. Not why J.D. Vance thinks. He gets that all wrong. I grew up in a town of 400 and graduated with 24 classmates, 12 cousins. I know these people. This isn't what this is about. I'm talking about those people there that we need to make the case to them. These are people that Democrats, they felt like Democrats have spoken down to them, that we've not gotten and reached where they're at, that they're trying to be who they are. That's what J.D. Vance's stick is, talking about guns. I guarantee you he can't shoot pheasants like I can. And that's a part of saying, but you know what? I guarantee I don't want weapons of war in classrooms, and there's no reason that you can't have reasonable restrictions around that without infringing on your Second Amendment. He's going in there throwing these things around that makes a difference. Democrats need to go into these places. I'm going to go in every Legion Hall I can go into and say, Vice President Harris will not cut your benefits. I sat in the VA committee for 12 years to increase those benefits with Republicans like Jeff Miller from Florida. This guy wants to cut them because it's in the 2025. We need to be bolder on that. We need to go out and say that. I'm not talking to those people at all other than we got a better plan for you.
The former president.
All right, so I got a couple of takeaways from this. The first thing I want to hit on is where he's talking about taking things away from the veterans. Sorry, my daughter's in here raising her ruckus and distracting me. Taking assistance away from veterans. Well, we already know that the VA has said that they will not comply with Congress when it comes to laws trying to protect the gun rights of veterans. And if you're trying to take away VA benefits, there needs to be some kind of reform in the VA. And I say this as a disabled veteran myself, and I have been for a long time. But the reason why I'm going to say that is because there are a multitude of veterans who very much take advantage of the compensation system that is designed in the Veterans Administration. Because everything that you get evaluated for to determine your eligibility for compensation is publicly available. And there are a lot of people that read those requirements and they will go into an evaluation knowing exactly what they have to do to get rated 100%. And essentially, these veterans that are doing this, and believe me, they do exist. They do exist. The veterans that are doing this are nothing more than welfare queens. And they are trying, and they're not trying, they are making it much more difficult for veterans with legitimate disabilities to get compensation or to even get through the process of getting compensation. And these people exist. They have for a long time. And they are very well known in the veteran community, and they do get called out for it. But it makes it hard on veterans who have legitimate disabilities. It makes it much harder for them to get the compensation that they deserve because so many people are taking advantage of the system and they're using it. They're taking advantage of it just like people take advantage of the social welfare programs that are out there for the general public when it comes to like Social Security disability and so on. The difference is Social Security disability makes you wait much, much longer, and it's usually much faster when it comes to VA compensation on being able to get that. And it is actually easier, again, because all of these requirements for a certain rating are public knowledge, and the mathematical system that they use to determine your final rating is also public knowledge, so you can put that together and figure out, if I do this, this, and this when I go to my evaluation, then I'm golden, I'll be rated 100%, and I'll get that compensation for the rest of my life, and I never have to do anything, as long as I get rated permanent total. Now, they do call in veterans many times that are not rated a permanent total, do reevaluations to see if their condition has gotten better, and I suspect they do that to some veterans because they have suspicion that they're playing the system, so they're trying to catch them so they can lower their rating because of that. And at the same time, there are veterans out there that have legitimate issues that they're also may have suspicion about, but they shouldn't, that are being called in for reevaluations years later, and they may even lose some of their benefits because of this abuse that's going on within the veterans system. And that is a very real thing. People need to be aware that is happening. Okay. And particularly for females, it's easier, much, much easier for them. I won't go into the specifics about it because I just don't want to dive down that rabbit hole. But for female service members to get a 100% permanent and total rating is significantly easier than it is for males. And it seems like the guys that have been in combat, the guys that have been in the infantry, have the most difficult time getting their VA compensation rating, or at least getting it to an acceptable level for their injuries, because they're always saying, oh, you were in the infantry? Well, your knee pain and your back pain, we can't attribute that to your service. Even though you were out there, you've marched hundreds of miles with hundreds of pounds of weight on your back, you've been blown up, you've been thrown off of things, you've rappelled out of helicopters, you've jumped out of airplanes. But the VA has determined that your back pain is not service-related. Meanwhile, the female that's behind you hasn't done anything, and for some reason, she gets 100% permanent and total rating right off the bat, first try, doesn't have to wait but 2 or 3 months for that, and all of a sudden she's getting paid. It doesn't make any sense. Please make it make sense, because it can't make sense to me.
Makes no sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. That's
exactly
why we have it. Yeah. Right. What do we have on this? The next clip. We got it's just about Walls at the moment, yeah. Walls and Hog. He loves it. Now I got a little bit here.
Yeah, he's got like a weird almost like fetish thing going on for Walls, doesn't he?
I got something that Google is repressing right now, apparently. So let's run that.
Oh, you mean repressing, like being able to search for the Trump assassination?
Right. Now have a
okay.
look at this ad there. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so let me get the right screen brought up here.
I'm with the Biden. Hello, I'm with the Biden campaign.
Yeah, I voted for Biden last time.
That's fantastic.
Is it? Everything costs more. Food, gas, rent.
Okay, but Biden's helping pay rent for newcomers to America from around the world.
You mean illegal immigrants? I'm struggling to pay my bills, but Biden's paying rent for illegals? They get handouts and I'm paying for it.
But Biden can still count on your vote, right?
Things were better before Biden. I'm voting for Trump.
Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Hello, I'm with the Biden campaign.
Yeah, I voted for Biden.
I like this ad. It's pretty spot on right there. I mean, I want to ask the average American out there, or average viewer, is your life better now under Joe Biden than it was when Donald Trump was president? Because I'm going to say that in 99% of cases, the answer is going to be no. Certainly not for me, and I'm sure it's not for you either, Paul.
No, exactly. Under Trump, pockets were fat. Under Biden, inflation and times are hard. But no one seems to get it. They don't seem to see what's going on there when they're of a democratic mind, when they're of a liberal mind. I think for everyone else, all the business owners out there, is abundantly clear.
Yeah, I mean, let's just look at the ability to even be able to purchase a vehicle. So when Trump first became president, I bought a Ram 2500 Power Wagon. And this thing was fully loaded. Had every option, had side steps, had heated and cooled leather seats. It was an amazing truck, right? And I paid $42,000 for this truck. This was a 2016 model. That same truck today, $96,000.
Wow. That's inflation for you.
And then that's not even counting the interest rates, man. So when I bought that truck, I got an interest rate on that purchase of 2%. So my wife just bought a car recently, and the lady at the dealership, when we were signing the paperwork, said that she hasn't seen now for about almost a year an interest rate below 8%.
Wow.
And most used vehicles, the interest rates for people are going to be in double digits. And you combine that with the massive amount of repossessions being at an all-time high. And people just cannot afford a new vehicle at all. Nobody in their right mind is going to buy a new vehicle. But you buy a used vehicle and you're going to pay some insane interest rate. People are paying double-digit interest rate all day long for a used vehicle. Some people are paying 25, 30% interest because nobody's credit score is as good as it used to be either. It used to be people would look at you kind of funny if you told them that your credit score was under a 700. And you got a lot of people now that got 650 credit scores. You got people that are going in to buy a car now that have 400 credit scores. And they're just getting rocked with these insane interest rates. And car dealerships are suffering because they can't move vehicles. Inflation has made the price of a vehicle so insane that nobody wants to buy them. Nobody can buy them. They can't buy one of these. They can't buy a $90,000 vehicle and pay a mortgage and put food on the table too. You just can't do it. The average person's not going to be able to make a $1,500 a month car payment on top of everything else.
Right.
So yeah, inflation's real. Inflation is crushing this country. And then you got $3 plus a gallon gasoline. Which means the price of goods goes up because of that. It means that your travel expenses go up. You're making less money because of your commute back and forth to work because you have to pay so much for fuel. Insurance rates on vehicles are going through the roof. I think in the last 2 years, I've had 3 rate increases on my insurance, and we've got nothing that has changed on our driving record, but the rates just keep going up and up and up. It's clown
Right.
world.
Total clown world shit, man. When is the economy going to come back to a workable level? Maybe never? No? Gotta have hope. It can't all be lost. But it certainly is in a very fucking shit situation.
Yeah, even if we do get President Trump again, I don't know if it's going to come back. Will the globalists and everything, the people that are pulling the strings, especially the financial markets, will they intentionally wreck the system? Because of that, maybe. They will stop it. They will stop at nothing to sabotage Trump. Nothing.
I have the next trend we move into here while we get into the top of the hour. So I'll be wrapping up here in a minute. The Kamala is Indian trend. I got a couple posts here for you.
Is that from the Conservative Brief?
There's one from Conservative Brief, and there's also one from Greg Price.
All right,
Let me play whichever one you want first.
Yeah, we'll start with Conservative Brief.
Certainly, you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
Certainly, you could become the first.
Okay, so if you watched the NADJ, I think that's the letters back then. I watched it today on the news where they had Trump on there with these not so friendly people. He called this out on that. And now the left is denying that this was ever a thing, that she's always been a black woman, that she's never been an Indian. But we have all this evidence to the contrary. But again, in the liberal clown world, all of a sudden she's not Indian. She's always been black. It's just trying to memory hole it, and it's doublespeak and doublethink. That's exactly what it is.
Because here she does clearly identify as Indian, right?
Yes. Yeah. We can play it again.
Let's just play it
Certainly,
again.
you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which
Go
would be quite an
watch.
accomplishment.
Hold on, what's
Not
chat
good.
saying? Go watch the
Certainly, you could
Memology
become the
101.
first
Okay, let's
Indian
cue it
senator
up.
in U.S.
Thank you,
history, which would
bro.
be quite.
I'll get the link.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pull up the next one in the list there from Greg Price while we're waiting on that.
Yeah.
We are all in this together, and your vote is your power. So please make sure your voice is heard this November and register to vote at vote.gov.
Can I get an amen?
Amen! Now on with the show.
And remember, you better vote.
We are
Is she holding the
all
sign
in this.
upside down at the end? Yeah. Look at that. Everybody else got the sign the right way up. Everybody else is holding the sign the right way. But her. It's upside down. Oh. You better go vote. That must be for the dyslexic people in the crowd. Okay. So
Unbelievable.
we got the memology clip. Thanks for that, Stabby. We'll get that pulled up here.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
Diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
Give me a
literally
definition
the words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition of
Sir,
that.
I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
Okay, so what we're gonna cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian,
Yes.
but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't.
Damn!
Because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
Circus, Afro circus, Afro circus, Afro polka dot, Afro.
Oh, it's a great video. And there we have it. You know, that's proof in the pudding right there. She claimed she was Indian all the time, and now all of a sudden she's black. She's not Indian, she's black. So she doesn't know what she is. She is whatever her handlers tell her that she is. Whenever they tell her to say it. That's what it is. She's just a puppet with strings.
Unbelievable, really, isn't it?
It's amazing.
That people can vote for that. That people can really, they can actually get behind that and want to vote for that, yeah.
Never underestimate the power of stupid people. And, you know, my favorite part about that entire interview, I don't know if you got to see it or not, Paul, was that lady that was interviewing him. He got so pissed at her that at one point Trump reaches over and he grabs her water bottle and he just cranks the lid down on there tighter than hell. and sets it back. And she didn't notice or anything. So I'm sure that she tried to grab that bottle later and open it. It's like, what the hell? Why can't I get this lid open? Well, that's because Donald Trump cranked that bad boy on there. And I thought that was hilarious. It was just a subtle fuck you to her very biased and aggressive interview.
Yeah. Wow. There you have it then. So, yeah, I don't have any more clips. I'm out of ammo, man.
That's okay. I'm about out of ammo too. We've been rocking for 2 hours. I think that's good enough for everybody. They've listened to us run our traps and show stuff for 2 hours. I think we're okay.
Yeah. Thanks very, very much for everyone who joined along for that journey. Yeah. We'll be back for delving down some rabbit holes again, for sure. I think on the next stream we'll be looking into Destiny's take on the Second Amendment. And
let's definitely do that, because Destiny's where you have this fascination with Zellner Myrie. I've developed a fascination with the craziness that is Destiny. And
anyone who I instantly, my ears pick up whenever I hear someone saying, it's also Jamie Raskin, don't forget, it's people who say that what the Second Amendment means isn't what the Second Amendment means.
Right.
You got to get alarmed when you hear that, because most Americans, they just take it for granted that things won't change. But you have to understand it's what's going on from the inside, and it's getting literally no views at all. It's getting under 100 views on those videos. But that doesn't mean they ain't moving forward with these things. Is a strict kind of vision of gun control, where it's like you can't own a firearm, or you can't have one like you've been used to. And they really mean that. That's what I'm talking about. It's a gun grab. It's gun control. It's what they want. Look at England. It's not safe. We didn't get a minute to really show any of the riots or anything. We talked about it for a second there, but it's not safe there. Everyone needs to be allowed to own a firearm in every country in the world. I really think so. And controlling them in the way we are is just showing that
the world.
It's a fundamental right. It's a fundamental right. I don't see why fathers are expected to go out, work their ass off, and then maybe fall victim to crime. We all buy life insurance. We all have insurance. Why are firearms not part of that? It's just part of a healthy society. So that's what I wanted to sign off with tonight, and think about whenever people criticize firearm ownership, think about the world out there which doesn't have the Second Amendment. And there's a lot of the world that doesn't have it. In fact,
A lot.
all other countries don't have it.
A lot.
More countries than not don't have firearms, and apparently they're getting on just fine. Well, I don't know if you checked the news recently. It doesn't look like that to me at
That's
all.
not the case.
No, I don't think you can argue that anymore in 2024, especially not with inflation so high and people getting crazy. So, yeah, I guess to wrap it up tonight, that's it. Think about how the Second Amendment works and how it enables you to have all the great things, because Americans do have a much better lifestyle than most of the world have. Even the poorest people in America are really, if you compare it, much better off than majority of the world. I'd say more than 80% of the world, 90% of the world. You're just better off by default. Even if you're crapping in the street and doing crack, you'll still be able to access a much better society, right? Than crapping in the street and doing meth or whatever in another shithole. So just think about that. You got a lot to give thanks for, and even if you're shitting on yourself there, at least it's going to be in a much better situation. And that really does speak volumes. So when they want to take it away, you just got to think about that you can't have the first without the second. It's a point we got to drill home. And
Stabby said
everyone's
even
used
the
to it.
poorest of Americans can own a High Point, and that's absolutely correct. That was actually the reason why High Point was created in the first place, is so that everyone could afford a firearm for their own defense. And as much as we like to chastise and hate on High Point and talk about how they're heavy bricks, they do serve a purpose. They make an extremely affordable firearm that is actually fairly reliable, and it makes it easy for Americans to be armed. And with that,
What about PSA?
PSA does a great job of making rifles affordable again. They do a fantastic job of that. And also their handguns. The Dagger is a very affordable line of firearms too, especially the Glock clone. But with that, guys, don't forget about our Freedom Seed giveaway that's going on right now. You can check the details over on our profile page at gun_coyote on X. Make sure that you get in on that giveaway. You're going to get 1,000 Freedom Seeds if you're selected as a winner, and and to enter is really easy. No purchase necessary. So just check out our X profile, get on that, spread the word, and help us help you. Because if we do really good with this one, I know that we have plans in the future to do even bigger giveaways, and I would love nothing more than to continue to give you guys awesome free stuff with no purchase necessary, for real, not like what Mr. Beast does, but where it's truly free and truly a random winner, and it's not rigged in the beginning. So make sure you head over there, get on our Freedom Seed giveaway at
I can't enter.
X.
I can't enter. My family can't enter. You check the terms and conditions. None of us can enter. We made sure we put it in there.
Yeah.
None of our families is no fucking around it. And like we're saying, we hopefully can grow it if you can share it, because then we can give away night vision, or we can give away. We want to give away a full
optics.
loadout. Full
Man,
kit.
I'd love to give away a thermal scope.
Bro, we can do it. We can do it for sure. We've checked the mass. We've checked the numbers. If you guys can help build the profile up, we can do it. It's just a case of building the page, and then we can start giving away, big giveaways. So
help
think
us
about
help
that.
you.
Yeah,
and we do this
Just
stuff.
think about that.
We do
It's
this
good.
stuff not just to grow our social media, but because we love you guys. We want to make sure that you have the ability to go out and practice with your firearms, or just have some cool shit to put on your firearms. So, and that's what it's all about. Just good Second Amendment supporters wanting to support and help out other Second Amendment supporters by giving them some free shit. And that's what we want to do.
Hashtag shoot for less. We want to see cheaper cost per round and things to go back, and not this inflation. It's fucking crazy. And we remember a time when ammo was much cheaper. I remember a time when, it was way more easier to go plinking, to go shooting. And even now, if you're reloading, it is
still expensive.
It's crazy how the price, it's just gone crazy high. So anything we can do to reduce the cost and make it so you can still enjoy using your firearms, especially when we're under attack from YouTube, from every angle, what can we really do? So make sure you're always checking on our X page. And yeah, we just keep on promoting things there. Like we're saying, we got this 1,000 round giveaway, and there will be more giveaways coming after that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
thanks very much for listening.
Thank
yeah,
you guys
I'll be
so
wrapping
much.
it up there.
And thank you, Paul, for being on the show. And we'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed it. And you guys have a great night and a great day tomorrow. And almost end of the week, almost the weekend. So have a great
Nearly
day,
there.
guys.
Nearly there. Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm out. Okay.
All right. Good night,
Cheers.
everybody.